Hello, Divya Hemnani here with another episode of Divya's Discoveries. And today I want to shine a spotlight on the structure of self-doubt. It's timely for me as I've just had an experience of it this morning. And so whilst I share the content and context with you, my invitation to you is to pay attention to how I created that experience for myself. So earlier this morning, I made a choice, and that choice was to go to a yoga class and not be home when our new cleaner arrived. And in making that choice, I knew then that I wouldn't be available to instruct her in how to use the kind of chemical-free cleaning system, the Enyo products that we have, and she would end up spraying the house full of chemicals and just cleaning them with it. She knows how. That's what most cleaners do. So the part of me that was driving the Divya this morning, right? For those of you who have been on the Excellence program for a while, you know that what we call I is really a collection of many parts, a committee of selves, if you will. And the part that was in charge this morning was, its priority was health, fitness. And all of our parts have different roles and goals, and they all have wonderful underlying intentions. And so the one that selected this morning said yoga's more important. So okay, went to yoga, and I come home and the scent hits my nostrils as I come home, and I found it quite triggering. Have you experienced that before? A triggering scent? Sometimes for people it's cigarette smoke, sometimes it's there are any number of ones that you might find, I have a unpleasant association with this scent. And for me, it was the smell of chemical cleaning products, and it felt quite strong. And in that moment it was like, I made the wrong choice. That's, of course, I didn't say those words, but it was kind of the unconscious thought pattern that it was presupposed. It had to have been running for me to have been frustrated and kind of a bit agitated. I felt off center. And luckily my partner knows when I'm talking and there's a he calls it a whinging tone, that anything that I'm saying is just nonsense, because I'm off center. And when we're off center, we're not really accessing our truth. We're not connected to what's really real for us. So caught up in that moment, I was like, I should have gone to yoga, and I this and I that, and I created a really kind of ranty, whingy experience for myself, and it was his laughter and that kind of brought me back to center and helped me recognize, okay, see what I've done here? Right. Current self today, right now in this moment, is doubting the choices that earlier me made, which is the structure, one of the ways in which we can create unpleasant experiences for ourselves, because we forget that the person that made those decisions, the part that made those decisions, had a different objective and agenda. So it's kind of like if you've been to a team meeting, a board meeting, a group, within an organization, each person around the table has a different role, and that doesn't, whatever perspective they have is equally valuable, they just look after different things. You know, you might have the head of HR and the head of finance and you know, the head of operations all sitting around the table, and they've got their own agendas. But in order for the organization to function at its peak, it needs all of those perspectives. And so the same is true for us. And when we lose connection and respect and appreciation for the choices our earlier self made, and when we have a sense of agitation or frustration, we can ask ourselves, what has to be presupposed? What must I be assuming in order for this to be the experience I'm creating? And so the assumption that I had made was that I had made a mistake and I shouldn't have gone to yoga. Rather than appreciating that, well, with all the data and information available to the part that made the choice in the morning, she chose health was more important. She chose that, well, you haven't been away all weekend at a wedding and you haven't done any physical practice, and it's important that you get back, you know, move the body. And so appreciating that perspective kind of lightens the experience. Okay, the house still smells like chemicals, but it doesn't bother me as much. Do you get what I'm saying? We release the judgment of our earlier selves and appreciate the choices that they made. We transform the quality of our experience. That's it for me this week.